So let us start with aggregations. On every aggregations, now we can see we can create aggregations on the partitions, okay, on the measure groups. Okay. Now you can see for if you go and click on partitions, so for this sales measure, okay, we have multiple partitions. We have created some 4 partitions. Now when I go to this aggregation section, my aggregations and partitions are closely related to each other. Okay. Now you can see we have one sales fact table, that is sales group, which contains the list of partitions. Whatever the partitions we have created, all are showing here. And now you can see that there is no aggregation. Aggregation is unassigned for this partitions or for this measure. So unassigned aggregation design is there. Okay. Now let us go and create an aggregation for this measure group or partitions. Now you can see we have an option called design aggregations option. Now let me click on this design aggregations. So design aggregations is nothing but, so let me show you. Welcome to the design wizard. To next. Now here you can see the list of partitions we have created. So you want to design aggregations for all the partitions. Let me select all. Okay. Or you want to apply this aggregation, whatever you are going to create, you want to apply for one of the partition, you can select that partition. Okay. Or do you want to apply for all the aggregate partitions, then select all, go to next. Now here you can see that in that measure group, okay, in that measure groups, what are all the dimensions we have? All are showing here. What are all the list of dimensions we have? All are showing here in that partition, in that measure, in that cube database. Okay. So now we have dim date, due date like this. Now let me see why only some more. Let me see how many we have created. Okay. Cube structure. So we have uh, order date, dim date, ship date, due date like this. But why it is showing only those things means, let me see, are we connected to any perspective? So now you can see the cube objects under this measure group. Okay, under this, these are all list of measures. We have the product. Okay, list of dimensions. We have order date, due date, ship date, table books, table product category, some table product subcategory. We have sales, and we have product subcategory, order date, product category. Okay. So now you can see if you go to the aggregations and then you click on this for the sales group, click on this aggregation design. Okay. Now what are all the dimensions? Okay, what are all the dimensions used for this sale amount? Means we have one fact table, no? So for from that fact table, for which tables we have the for which dimension tables we have the relationship. Now you can see we have only date fields and product subcategory and category. Okay, and you can see why these only are coming is why the uh, table book sales, table book author, these are all separate measure groups, and for those measure groups there is a different dimensions. But for my current measure group, this fact table is directly related to only these dimensions. Now we can cross check one more time. If I go to the group structure, now we have sales. Okay, for this sales measure group, what are all the related dimensions I have? I have the product category, due date, ship date, order date, and subcategory. So for this sales group, there is no relation between your view category DSV, and there is no relationship between your table books and table order. So that's why when you are going for aggregations, when you are selecting this particular measure group, you are getting, let me show you the list of partitions, we are getting only those dimensions. Understood? Now, after this, what we have to do is, so if I go for order date, and you can see that it is creating. So we have default aggregations, okay, full aggregation, none aggregation, and unrestricted aggregations. Okay, what does that mean is, so some default query is already prepared for your English month name. Suppose if your customer wants to see the month-wise sales, okay, so it is telling that a default query is already prepared. Okay, by default, some combination, a query is prepared for this list of fields present under this dimension. Okay, so a default aggregation query is already prepared. Okay, now you thought that your customer is frequently analyzing my year-wise sales. Okay, so instead of month-wise, he was frequently or he was continuously analyzing my year-wise sales. Then what you can do is create a full aggregation. Okay, create a full aggregation for this calendar year. For this calendar, full aggregation means, so it will uh, it will be in advance. It will prepare a queries. It will prepare a group by queries, okay, on the calendar year option, on the calendar year attribute. So what are all the different types of group by queries? You can use it by calendar year. They can say like year wise, product wise sales, year wise, color wise sales, year wise, category wise sales, year wise, subcategory wise sales. So these are all the different combinations the customer can view the data. No, then what I'm doing is, if I put it like a calendar year, create a full application on calendar year means it will prepare the queries in advance on the calendar year. On the combination of, okay, on the combination of calendar year queries, it will use most of the memory, or it will create most of the queries based upon the calendar year combination. Okay, and suppose let us say that your customer is not at all viewing the data on the semester wise. Okay, then don't create a pre-prepared query for this semester. Don't prepare a query at all. Don't prepare a default query also for this semester combinations. Okay, so that I can decide how I have to prepare the aggregate queries. How I have to prepare the aggregate queries. So when you are going to browser, when you are going to browser and when you are dropping and dragging and dropping, so it is in the back end it is preparing the query, no? So when you are dragging and dropping, let us say that when you are dragging and dropping, it is preparing a query, like select the sum of sales amount from that sales table. And when you drag a year column, now you can see when you drag a year column, it will go and prepare a year query. It is actually generating a year query. How it is generating is in the aggregations, already one default aggregations are implemented on that. Okay, so it is going and preparing a query for you in the backend. Now, if I set calendar year full aggregations, then instead of preparing the query at runtime, we are telling to the SSAS solution, okay, prepare a query at the in advance also. In advance, prepare a query for it. Okay. Whenever I drag and drop this calendar year, you no need to write, or you no need to write a query at runtime. Okay. Now, in advance, prepare a query on the combination of calendar year. Okay. So when I select dim product, okay, color. Now since I have selected full aggregations on this calendar year, those queries in which calendar year is involved, all are be prepared in advance. So when you are dragging and dropping, now it won't prepare the query on the at runtime, at the fly. Okay. So that is what how the aggregations is going to help us. So for which columns or for which attributes your customer is usually analyzing, for those columns I can go and create a full aggregations. I can go and create a pre-prepared or advanced queries. Okay. Now if I go and click on for this sales group, let me go and click on one more time. Let us select all the partitions. And now here I can set this ad. So in this dimension on calendar year, my customer is viewing frequently on nearby sales. Then go and create a full aggregations. And in the semester, my customer is not at all analyzing the data on semester. Then don't prepare a query in advance. Okay, don't prepare the query in advance. Okay, generate it at runtime. Whenever your customer is dragging or dropping the semester, no, at that time you can go and write a query. Okay, but don't prepare any advanced query for this calendar semester. Or if you are not, if your customer is not viewing the data based on the quarter, don't waste your SQL memory. Okay, for storing this query in advance. Okay. Now you can see for each and every attribute you can select on for which attribute for which field you want to use your SQL memory, and if you want to use your write the advanced queries. Okay, so like this we can decide. Okay, so for each and every dimension we can do like this. Now you can see for the color, if you was analyzing the based upon full product name, if you want to create aggregations fully on product name, you can go and create. So it will go and prepare the multiple combinations of product. Okay, color like this. And we have, but by default it will prepare some queries for each and every attribute present in the dimension. But preparing this, it will follow some rules. Okay, it will follow some rules for preparing those default queries also. But if you don't want to follow any rules, okay, then you have to select this unrestricted. Okay, when you are preparing the queries for this, don't follow any rules. Okay, I can directly go on create a default query without following rules. Then you have to select this unrestricted option. Okay. Now after selecting which field we have to apply, we have to prepare most number of queries. You have to select that and put it in the full. And if you don't want any query in advance, then you will make it as none. Okay, and if you want to prepare a default query without any applying any rules, then we have to go for unrestricted. Okay, now go to next. Okay, now you can see that. So click on count. Okay, so actually it will show the how many records you have in the sales table. So in the fact table, okay, it is checking how many records are there. Okay, and for that number of records, how many aggregations I have to be prepared. Okay, now I have selected the count as 60,000. I'll go to next. And now here you can see that we are coming to the aggregation design part. Okay, now we have design aggregations until your estimated storage reaches 100 MB. Okay, if you suppose in your SQL server you want to create these aggregated queries, okay, until your aggregated query storage reaches 100 MB. Now let me start. Let us see how many aggregations it will create to improve the performance. Okay, now you can see that for these 60,000 records, no need to go on prepare an advanced query. It is telling that for this 60,000, you are containing very less amount of records. For this 60,000 records, you no need to prepare any advanced query. Okay, so since the data is less than 1 lakh, it is not at all suggesting us to prepare an advanced query. Okay, now what I can do is now let me insert some data into our fact table. Okay, now in my fact table I have only 60,000 records. So because of this, it is not suggesting me any uh, advanced aggregated queries. Okay, so any be prepared. Okay, advanced queries. Now what I will do is let me insert some data into this table. Okay, if I have the high volume of data, then let us see whether it will suggest any advanced queries for us. Okay, now let me go and include some data. So to do that, what I have done is, let me see, I have the adventure works new query. So I have fact internet sales table, and I have fact internet sales 01 also. Let me see that how many, the same fact table I have taken a backup. Okay, and let us see how many records on this. Okay, so first of all, let me show you whether both the tables are same or not. Now you can see both the tables has same columns. Okay, product key, and 0701. I have taken a backup of the data. Okay, now you can see it is also ending with order date, due date, ship date. Okay, I have taken a backup of this table in the sales 01, and you can see that I have inserted the same data again and again. Now, in order to make the data more data, in order to store the more data. Now, let us see the number of records present in this fact internet sales sheet. So it has something like 9,66,000, and this one is having, so it is having 60,000 records, and this one is having 9 lakhs. Okay, 9,60,000. Okay, so I have inserted the data again and again, same data I have inserted again, so that in order to contain a huge amount of data. Now I want to, let me replace this table. Okay, with this. Okay, let me replace this table with this table which is having the high amount of data. Now let me go to my SSAS design. Okay, click on cancel. Now what I will do is I can go to my adventure works. Okay, so I can go to the data source view. So where I have the sales table, but this sales table is containing very less amount of data. If I go and see the properties, so this sales table is nothing but fact internet sales. This contains less amount of data. So let me, with the same structure, I have created one more table called sales 01, fact internet sales 01. Let me replace this table with that fact internet sales 01. Okay, we have one fact internet sales 01. Let me replace the table without touching the design. I'm just replacing only this table. Now you can go and see that properties. Now it is pointed to fact internet sales 0. Okay. Now let me go and process this database first. Okay. Now let me go and process this queue. Let me connect to this queue, or let me go and process the entire solution. Now I'm processing the entire solution so that I will get the new sales table data which contains 9 lakh records, and I will try to apply aggregations or try to create aggregations on that 9 lakhs records table. Okay. So let me re-authenticate one more time. Now let us see that. So it is still processing the same number of records. Okay. Let me connect to this. Let me go to the browser, reconnect. It is still showing the sum of sales are this much only. It is still showing it as this much only. So on the partition we have created. Right. It's connected to fact detail sales URL. Okay. So let me go to this data source queue. So we have created a measure now. Let me delete this measure. Okay, why? Because this measure is pointed to the let me see. I think it is pointed, not pointed to the fact internet sales user. Let me recreate this relationship. So let me go for delete and let me create a one more time this cube database. So this fact table may be pointed to the old one. That's why what I want to do is I want to go for new measure on the sales table. Let me select a sales amount. Okay, now I have created a new measure called sales support sales table. Now go to these dimensions. So we have already the relationships are built. Okay, sales table. So dim product, product key, and product subcategory reference relationships are there. Now let me process the cube one more time. Okay, I want to process the cube. I have created the measure group again. Maybe it is repointed to the, maybe it is getting the reference from the old table itself. Let's find out. Let us see that. Now you can see processing sales. We are getting the 9,66,000 records. Okay. So it is processing the sales. Okay. Now let me close. Close. Now you can go and see that. So now since we have removed the sales, the partitions are also removed. Now if you want, you can create the partitions one more time. Okay. Now go to the aggregations. Now we have the sales table, zero aggregation design. Now go to this, go to next. Okay, now you can see since there is no partitions, it is directly going to this window. Okay, and we have selected for which attributes we want to go for full aggregations and for which attribute no aggregations. And after selecting this, go to next. And here let me click on count one more time so that it will show the. Now you can see we have something like 9 lakh records. Okay. Now my measure group table contains high volume of data. Now if I go on apply, click on next. Now you can see we have the first option, design aggregations until your estimated storage reaches 100 MB. This queries, whatever the uh, advanced queries we are going to prepare. Okay, advanced queries we are going to prepare. So create the queries until your SQL memory reaches 100 MB for this queries. Okay, if I click on start. Now let us see that. how many advanced or before preparation queries it is prepared. Now you can see for this 9 lakh records, it has prepared 7 aggregated queries in advance, and your optimization level is reached 34%. Means 34% performance issue we have gained by creating these 7 applications. Okay, and we can increase the memory also. Count the 100 memory, it was able to create 7 applications. If I set the, let us say, 1000 MB, it might have created more applications. And we have one more option called performance gain reaches 30%. Let us say if I go and specify your performance gain reaches, I want to improve the performance by 60%. Okay, then click on reset and select this option. I want to improve the performance by 60%. To achieve that much performance, how many aggregations I have to create? Now you can see earlier it has improved 34%. To improve the 34% of performance, it has created earlier 7 aggregations. Now you can see in order to achieve 60% performance improvement, it has created 18 aggregations. It means it has prepared 18 advanced queries, okay, to achieve this 60% of optimization. And we have one more thing, that is I click stop. I click stop means until I click on stop. Now you can say I'm starting. Until I click on stop, okay, it will go on create aggregations. Now you can see until I click on stop, it has created maximum is 7 aggregations. Okay, if you go reset and click on start, okay, now you can see if I stop it now, it has just created 4 aggregations until I click on stop button. Okay. And fourth option is do not design aggregations. So this is not at all used. Okay, why? Because we have come to this aggregation section to improve your performance. Okay, by creating the aggregations. Okay, if you don't want to design, don't come to this place. Like that. Now we can select either. Mostly what we will do is we will select first two options. Okay, click on start. Just wait 2 minutes. I will come back. So I'm back. Now you can see that. So in order to improve the 60% performance improvement for your queries, okay, it has created 18 advanced aggregated queries. Okay, go to next. Now do you want to immediately process now, or you want to just save it? We can select whichever one. Okay, and if you want to give some design name, now let us say just 60% like that. Okay, just to understand it. Finish. So this is how we can create it. Aggregations, okay, for the measure groups we have created. Okay, now you can see. So we have prepared 18 advanced queries. Okay, so what will happen is whenever you go for browser, okay, so instead of preparing the query at runtime, it will make use of this already designed queries. Okay, that query runtime we can reduce it. We can still improve the performance of your querying time. Whenever the customer is doing slice and dice, so instead of preparing the query at runtime, we are preparing the query in advance. That is what we will do in the aggregations. Understood? Okay. Now, so any doubts, Abhi, Kaushik, are able to guys understood, or do you want me to repeat one more time? So Abhi, are you able to understood?
Yeah, Krishna.
Okay. So we have one more type of Now we have one more type of aggregations. Let me go for aggregations, and now you can see. So let us see, we have one more type of aggregations called usage based optimization. What is this usage based means? So we can track how the user is using our cube. So whether he is analyzing mostly by calendar year wise sales or product wise sales or color wise sales, or on which combination he is using more. We can track that queries also. So the SSAS will prepare some MDX queries now while giving the output. So we can track that queries. We can store that queries, and for next year, so this year how the customer is analyzed your data. So there is a chance of in the same way next year also he can analyze. No? Suppose this year he was analyzing by product wise sales or branch wise sales. So in next year also there is a chance of analyzing in the same way. No? So if I keep track of the queries, if I take track of the analysis queries, how he is analyzing this year, next year when I am preparing the aggregations on those queries which is mostly viewed, okay, which is used very frequently or which is used more. For those combinations, I can go and prepare aggregated queries. Okay, for which combinations he has viewed this year. Okay, for those combinations, on those combinations, I can create an aggregate. Okay, so you can see that. Welcome to the usage based optimization wizard. Go to next. Now we can see that begin date. Okay, so now what is telling is, okay, so what it is telling is, first of all you have not stored your query. First of all you have not stored your query. Okay, means whatever the customer is analyzing, okay, on which fields the customer is analyzing, we have to store those details. No? Now let me see how we can store those details. Okay, in order to store those details, so right now I'm in the SQL database, SQL server. Let me connect to the analysis services engine. Okay. So we are writing the queries, MGX queries on this analysis services. Now let me go to this. Okay. So let me go for server properties. Okay. Now let me go for server properties. Let us see that. So in the general section, now we have one option called, now you can see, log, query log, create query log table. Okay. So do you want to store the queries in one of the table? Yes, I want to store the queries. Then make this option as true. You have to make this option as true. And in which database you want to create. Okay, first of all, in which database you want to store that. Okay, so whatever the queries I'm executing, okay, those queries you want to store it in which database. Okay, let me show you. So let me create a connection. The table you want to create in which database. Let me specify. I want to create in the AdventureWorks. Let us go and specify the server name as Balaji-PC. So in which database you want to create the table. Now I'm connected to my OLEDB server. That adventure works. Okay, I want to create it. Okay. Now what is the table name? What is the table name you want to give? So okay, if you want to give any other table name, you can go and give. Let us say uh, log or aggregate. Okay, log files. Okay, I want to create a table name with this aggregated log files. Okay. Now what will happen is whenever you drag and drop whenever the customer is doing the slice and dice of the data, those queries will come and store in this table. Let us see whether that is correct or not. Now I have created a data like this. Now what will happen is if I go to this server, okay, now let me go for browser. Now let me process it. So Ishan, 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Now you can see process is succeeded. Okay. Now you can go and see when you are going for browser and click on reconnect. Okay, so whenever your customer is dragging and dropping, now you can see sales amount. So this much is the sales amount, and now he wants to see the color wise sales amount. He is dragging and dropping, and if he wants to include the product wise sales amount, he is dragging and dropping. So now if he wants to see the category wise sales, then you can go and get the category wise sales like this. Now if he wants to analyze by year-wise sales, then you can go and analyze the year-wise sales. Now we have dropped so many queries. Okay, so we have dropped I think 4 or 5 fields. Now you can go and see in your table. So whether that actual table is created or not in your AdventureWorks data warehouse. Okay, and whether it is storing the query or not. Now let us see. Select star from aggregate. Okay, what is our table? Log queries. So what is the table name we have created? Now aggregate log. So we have created aggregated log queries. Table name is correct only, no? Log queries. Let's see how to create this database level or not. Okay. Now that thing, the table name is same only. Just specify the what. schema level it has created. Let me see the schema. And the convention marks in this table is not created. Okay, I will see why it is not created. Actually, it should create a table with this name in this pointed database. Okay, so I will stop now, Abhi. So I will see why this table is not yet created. Okay, and I will explain you in tomorrow class. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So actually, it should create this table. Whatever the table it should create, and that queries has to be stored in this table. Okay. So let me see why it is not doing. Any other setting I have to modify? Let me see that. Okay. So we'll continue in the tomorrow class. Okay. Thank you, Abhi. Thank you, Kaushik. So Anjali and Faraj, yes, just give me 1 minute. I will connect back. I have to record that class. So I will connect back again. Okay. Just give me 1 minute.